Hey everyone, so stoked that you've decided to join us today. I'm Madeleine.
And I am Alex.
And today we are drinking some fun and fresh mojitos. Cheers.
Clink.
Clink, clink. And we made them from
We
scratch.
sure did. We got the white rum. We got the lime
Club
juice.
soda.
We got the club soda. We had sugar cubes.
We muddled the mint.
We muddled it with spoons, and the mintiness was
Divine.
So fresh.
Very fresh. We love it. And we are also listening to... What are we listening to, Alex?
This is 10 hours of zoo sounds.
Love it. Miss the zoo. Love the zoo.
I miss the zoo.
We've been to the zoo together.
Yes, we have. I was just about to mention that I look back very fondly on when we went to go see the baby gorilla.
Yes, Denny.
Love
him.
Very cute.
Okay. So if you've been with us the last few episodes, you might remember that we start our time with a good old consideration of the day.
It's true. What are we considering today, Maddie?
Well, today we are going to take a quote from the wonderful man named Martin Luther King Jr.
I'm familiar.
You are familiar. And the quote is, "Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others?" Say it again. Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? What do you think about that, Al?
I feel like I tend to consider that quite a bit, but you know that I work at a hospital,
Mm-hmm.
and so that I'm certainly in the helping profession. That's what I've built my skills toward. I want to become a person who is able to work with others. I want to support others. I would say my life's mission is to... Whoa!
That was a tiger.
That scared me. It's like we're there. But I would say that one of my life missions is to become a person in whom others feel safe to tackle their own demons, like become bigger people, because it's very scary to turn inward. And so I do consider that quite often. However, I feel like it's so good. Could you say it again?
Yes. Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others?
It feels like a call out. And a call out with care and consideration, where it's like, hey, I can worry a lot. I struggle with anxiety. And it seems like a lot of my anxieties are centered around me, where I'm worried about, how am I going to appear in this? Or what if I don't say the right thing? Or what if this in the future? What if that? What if this goes wrong? And also dwelling in the past of like, oh man, I feel so much shame about this interaction or these words that I said. I could have done something different. And that doesn't add to me as a person. It usually detracts, where it keeps me paralyzed. It keeps me from moving forward and just saying like, yeah, maybe I did the wrong thing, but I am still alive, and I can let that inform what I want to do in the future. And all we have is each other. I can't take my money with me when I die.
Totally.
I can't take my possessions. So really, like, what impact do I leave? And it's on others. It's on other people. And so, like, while it's certainly important to take care of ourselves and to address, like, our internal environment, I think that it is so relevant to place it in an outward sort of position of, like, how am I to others?
Totally.
How am I developing myself to be in community?
Totally. Yeah. And there's a piece that's like, I don't know, everybody wants to like leave a legacy, or like
Sure.
a grandfather or grandmother that wants to like help their grandkids to bring them up right and things, and I think that that's valid, and like it's good to leave a legacy because that you lived a good life. But I also think that paired with the humility of just wanting to, like, help others and live in community with others and, like, is important.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I hear that.
Is there anything specific or extra that quote brings up for you?
I mean, with recent events and everything happening, definitely. Sure.
Which?
There's a lot of recent events.
There's a lot of shit going on.
There's a lot going on. Racial injustice and where I stand in my stance of privilege as a white person. How can I help those who don't have that same privilege because of the color of their skin? I think that's why that resonated with me a lot today, as I'm pondering that a lot today.
Right. Does my silence help?
Totally.
Usually not.
Yeah.
So how do I reach out and care? Is it by sharing posts on Facebook?
Yeah.
Is it by offering money to charities?
Sure.
Is it by engaging in discussion?
Yeah.
These are very important questions to be asking during this time. And it's obvious that lots of people are very upset.
Totally. And lots of people don't really know exactly what to do to help, but I think that... What was that animal?
I think that was an elephant.
Oh, yeah.
Again. Like,
I love this. It's like run a little, like, ferry ride through it.
Oh, so down. Like the, what is it, the jungle safari at Disneyland?
Anyways, yeah, I think that's just something I've been sitting with a lot, is how can I best help that specific
Right. How do we, as a society, make up for the wrongs of our ancestors?
Totally. Yeah.
Not an easy question
Not at
to
all.
answer.
I was hesitant to bring that up, but I think it's important. I think it's important to talk about. So
It's so important to talk about, and I think that, and I may be needing to just say I'm speaking for myself, but I don't want to offend other people with my ignorance.
I agree. Oh, completely agree.
And yet, if I do nothing, I have previously stated, then, like, I am kind of supporting the status quo.
Yeah.
And I don't agree that the status quo is right.
Totally. Yeah.
The way things are has led to these situations of racial injustice.
Totally.
And that's a shame.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I am somebody who I don't want to change, well, I want to treat every person I interact with the same.
Totally.
Obviously respecting where they're at, and so that might impact how I interact with that person. Maybe the words that I say, maybe the tone that I carry. But, like, I want to treat people equitably.
Totally.
And yet there is a history that impacts day-to-day life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's heavy.
It's so heavy.
So that's the consideration for today, and probably days to come.
Yes.
Yeah, but I encourage you to consider that today too, and how you can help others. If it is specific to racial injustice and that, then that's amazing. But yeah, how can you help others today? So.
Dang, Madeleine. Wow. That was...
all right.
You did it.
Let's dive in. So, as we've said before, we're like 10 minutes into this podcast now.
We are 9 minutes and 30 seconds into this
I'm
podcast.
good at guessing. Okay. As we said before, the vision of this podcast is to take some time to open up and talk about a current event or notable figure in great detail. Then, after Alex informs me with his lovely mind and love for information, it's amazing. I'm not being condescending. I love that about you, Alex.
My superpower.
I will then provide my instant thoughts and reactions to said person or event. I will say we thoroughly enjoy getting to have these combos together. Alex is my friend, and I love to chat with him. And we definitely ask for grace as we discuss these topics together, as we have limited perspectives. So, with that said, thank you for your grace, and let's dive in.
Let's dive in. Yo, I haven't been to a pool in a while. That just, cool. When you said dive in, like, I want that this summer.
That sounds amazing.
And I'm worried that coronavirus will keep me from going to a pool.
Aaron and I were talking, though, quick, we're going to get on this real quick. Pools have chlorine in it, so it might be the most, like, kill off any
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, scientists.
Get on that, please.
Does chlorine kill coronavirus? You can comment below. If
all right.
Okay, yeah, sorry. I want to, instead of starting with the main story and then doing rapid fire later, I want to start with the rapid fire hot takes, just so that we are at tip top, I am ready to give you my unadulterated opinions on these stories. And what a doozy of stories I have found for you.
Gosh, Alex.
Okay.
Can I preface that I come here with no knowledge of what we're talking about? I do know briefly what we're talking about today, but these, no idea.
Right. I'm so excited. Okay, here comes the first story. For you new listeners, the rapid fire hot takes are one-sentence stories, news stories that are current, relevant, and have something that I feel is worth taking a look at. And Madeleine will provide her instant reactions to these news stories. So let's do it. Here's the first one. Madeleine. While this year's brood of cicadas will easily number in the billions, it is speculated by entomologists that next year's brood will result in trillions of cicadas that will emerge from their 17-year subterranean larval stage to mate and seed the next brood that will eventually emerge in 2038.
Oh my gosh. No. The cicadas.
The cicadas!
Inside joke. I used to think they were called cicadas. 1, ew. 2, they're gonna be friends with the murder hornets. 2 big bugs unite.
Yes, 2 big bugs. They are big.
Cicadas are big. Cicadas, sorry.
It's totally fine. Cicadas are like little battering rams that like fly through the air. I don't think they have very good eyesight.
Oh, no idea.
Even though that like most of their head is eyeball.
They make those noises.
They screech.
Yeah.
They like literally, and that's part of this story is that like in some areas there will be like 90 decibels of like this chorus of male cicadas that are singing out to the female cicadas being like,
Let's
have
mate.
sex with me. And the females are more so drawn to louder choruses.
Wow.
As they fly about. And
Well,
I know.
2038, I will be X amount of years old. How old will I be? 20.
Well, 17 years older than you are now.
Okay, well, how old am I now? 26. You do the math.
Okay. 45.
45, thank you. I'll be 45. And I will probably still think that cicadas are gross.
I mean, they are pretty gross.
But they probably serve a purpose that's great, and I love them for that.
If anything, just to be mysterious.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Next story. For the first time since Donald Trump became the president of the United States, a tag appeared under one of his tweets this past Tuesday that indicated the content of his message was misleading and untruthful.
Sorry. What tweet? Out of the millions of tweets that could do that.
It was about voter fraud.
Is that what you said? Sorry, I didn't.
No, I didn't.
It was about voter fraud.
As in, Twitter put a tag on his specific post.
That said this could be untrue.
This is misleading.
Well, good on you, Twitter, for using your platform to point out somebody who has very, very strong platforms misuse of it.
Is that the hot take?
Yeah.
Good on you, Twitter.
Good on you, Twitter.
Did we even get the hot take for the first one?
Ew, cicadas.
Oh,
Ew,
okay.
cicadas.
Ew, cicadas is the first hot take. The second hot take is good on you, Twitter. All right, cool. Third story. Earlier this month, a Utah highway trooper pulled over a suspected impaired driver only to discover that it was in fact a 5-year-old who had decided to drive to California to purchase a Lamborghini after their mother had refused to purchase it for them.
I think I saw that.
Did you?
Yes. Ground him. Gosh, the mom should.
The child was 5.
Yeah, but he wanted to go buy a car? Is that what happened?
Yeah. And in truth, I think that the kid only had $3.
Oh, wow.
Like, in the wallet.
Have a good conversation with him.
Okay.
About safety. And
I'm surprised that this kid was able to reach the pedals.
yeah, that's crazy. Did he crash?
No.
Huh. Hot take. We don't need Lamborghinis. Is that what he was going to get?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
don't all need it. It doesn't deem success.
I loved Hot Wheels as a kid.
That's true. He probably just wanted a good old cool car.
But I think even Hot Wheels are more than $3.
Yeah. Hot Wheels, make some minivans.
Is that the hot take? It's Hot Wheels' fault. Fantastic. All right, let's keep moving forward. Okay, you ready for the fourth one? Mm-hmm. Amidst concerns about the unlawful distribution of sensitive personal information, ownership of the popular LGBTQIA+ dating app Grindr recently changed hands from the Beijing Kunlun Tech Company to the San Vicente Acquisition LLC for a staggering $608.5 million.
Okay, you're going to have to break that one down for me.
All right, I'll break it down. So, amidst concern about the unlawful distribution of sensitive personal information.
Mm-hmm. So they were distributing people's personal information.
Yeah, you know how
senselessly.
Facebook is like,
Yeah.
they sell
it.
They're like, oh, this
the
guy
ads.
looked at a dish.
Yeah.
He must, and then all of a
Love
sudden,
dishes.
right, all of a sudden
The
all of
world
my
is one
ads
dish.
are like, Wayfair? Yeah. Would you like Pier 1?
Yeah.
Okay. Amidst concerns about unlawful distribution of
That
sensitive
Grindr
personal...
was doing that.
As in, yes, yeah. Ownership of the popular dating app Grindr recently changed hands from the Beijing Kunlun Tech Company to the San Vicente Acquisition LLC for a staggering $608.5 million.
So they paid that much to transfer over to this other place?
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
More money than I've ever seen.
Wow. They did it to, like, protect their users? Is that what's happening? I'm
Kind
not
of.
sure how those things connect.
This is actually a pretty involved story. Maybe it is more involved than a one sentence kind of thing.
Sure.
But American, how do I say this? Basically, there are organizations in America that want to protect people's personal, like, protected health information. In this case specifically, HIV status. And those laws do not exist in other parts of the world. And so Grindr was owned by a Beijing-based company. And an organization in America said, you must sell this application, ownership of this application, to another company who will honor the health information of the people using this app.
That's important. That's awesome. That's all I gotta say.
Hot take.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Also, an app being worth $608.5 million.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Holy moly.
I don't really have any knowledge of that, so
Neither
but
do I.
That's a lot of
I
money.
gotta make an app.
Grindr. What would you name it?
I would name it
Yep.
Sipper.
Love it.
Sipper. because nothing is better than just sitting in the afternoon sipping on... Yikes.
Yep. Oh, gosh.
I just gotta... Okay. It would be like a mixology sort of application, and perhaps you could set up, like, you could schedule tea times with people.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I think it would be good. Okay. Last story. Moving forward. This is the 5th hot take rapid fire. Yesterday, Pope Francis urged world leaders and politicians to indefinitely divert funding from military and weapon programs to support the research of infectious diseases in order to prevent a similar pandemic in the future.
Why hasn't that been done already? That's my hot take.
Hot take. World leaders, you better
get it together
and stop making weapons. Gosh. Because the Pope said...
Yeah, the Pope.
The
sweet man that is the Pope. Thank you, Pope Francis. That's a good point.
Yeah. Great. That's all of the hot takes for the rapid fire. Cool. We're going to move into the main story now. Madeleine.
Yes.
How educated are you? How much do you say you would know about SpaceX, Elon Musk?
Oh, gosh.
This private company endeavoring to search the space and stars.
I know that he is very wealthy. I do not know how he accumulated all of his wealth, but I know he's very wealthy. I know he named his son something -12, right? Ash, something -12. Interesting. I know that one time I was at a wedding and I saw one of the launches in the air and I didn't know what it was. And everybody at the wedding was freaking out for a brief moment. And that he has a heart to learn more about space, which I think is really cool because I think space is amazing. That's all I know.
What is one amazing thing about space?
Oh, it's vast. I think it just puts you in a perspective of noticing your smallness and like how much your world doesn't, I mean, it matters, but it's just a small percentage of
perhaps like
the universe.
It can give us a paradigm shift in our perspective.
Oh, totally. Yeah, totally. Humble you a little bit.
Ooh, I need that.
Yeah.
All right, cool. That's a significant amount that you know.
Yeah.
It's not that you know nothing. Something happened yesterday, like literally yesterday, of great importance, and it involves SpaceX. And so that's why I wanted to bring this story to both you and our audience today.
Love it.
Love it, love it, love it. All right. As we do every week, I'm going to give you the one-sentence summary of this news story, and you will provide your hot take.
Love it.
Then I'll dive into, honestly, too much detail about the history of it, like getting to a place of understanding why it matters, and then we'll get your more educated hot take, perhaps.
Cool.
The cooler take.
Sure.
All right. Yesterday's... Whoa. I think that was a tiger again. They come out of nowhere, and I think that scares me. That one of my worst nightmares is walking through a jungle and like turning my back and being just yikes.
We'll dive into that later.
You know what? I need to write that down for my therapist.
Yeah.
Okay, so yesterday's successful launch of SpaceX and NASA's Crew Dragon module marks a significant step in America's re-entry into the space race of the future, both to the moon and onto Mars.
Wow. I've never heard the term space race, and I love that. That is so cool. What exactly is the space race? They're just in wanting to learn more about it, basically. Like, wow.
Space race is perhaps an older term that has been used to describe a period of time in America's history where we were putting forth lots of our resources to make it to the moon before Russia.
Got it. Is Elon Musk American?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
What if he isn't?
That's still cool. I'm just interested in what we're looking it up. Fact check. Alex found something. He's making a concerned face. Where were you born, Elon Musk? We don't know.
He's apparently a citizen of multiple countries.
Wow.
What? I should have looked at this. So he's a citizen of South Africa, Canada, and the United States.
Whoa.
Oh, he was born in South Africa.
Wow.
He has been a United States citizen since 2002.
Got it.
Holy moly.
That's interesting.
Oh my gosh.
Real time, folks. Alex is researching Elon Musk.
All right, I'm going to keep this up. I might refer to this later. He, fun fact, is like the same age as my parents.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Just a little older than my mom.
And he just had a baby. Wow. Okay.
He did just have another child. Okay. Cool. So that is that. I want to... Oh, what's the hot take?
Hot take. Yay, space race.
Space race! That's so fun. I love that. It has like a, it rhymes.
Yeah,
so
I like it.
that's nice.
All about learning more about space.
Have you ever wanted to go to the moon?
Oh, always. Who doesn't want to go to the moon? That'd be really cool. I would really love that. I think I would be a little bit frightened. Airplane rides scare me, so I can't imagine.
Yeah, it's like an airplane ride plus.
Yeah.
What's the scariest part of the airplane ride for you?
Oh gosh. Takeoff and mostly landing.
I always say a prayer when I'm going into landing.
I have this routine, Alex, where I I pray when we're taking off, and then I sing like a worship song while we're landing. Whatever one just comes to mind. I just say peace with myself. Like, if this is the end,
you know what?
This is the end.
I used to, I typically keep this more private, but I do a very similar thing, which is like, I know it's not necessarily logical because we fly all the time.
Yeah.
Like, it's more dangerous to cross the street.
Totally.
Than it is to fly in an airplane. But literally every time I go into landing, I'm like, Alex, it's just time to relax and let go.
Yeah.
Like,
there's nothing you can do.
Right.
Wow.
If I go, like, this is it. Have I gotten to a point in my life where I'm comfortable with that? Because I have to be. Yeah. And I, like, literally every time I'm like, Alex, this is silly.
Yeah.
Elephant.
There he is.
I
can't imagine being on a spaceship.
Yeah.
Spaceship?
Well, it's tough to know exactly what space travel will look like in the future.
Sure.
However, typically the way that people get to space these days is via rocket.
Rocket, yeah.
Yes, a rocket. So, hot takes, space race.
Yay
space race.
Okay.
Okay.
My hands up.
Woo! I want to kind of start from the beginning to help kind of build a foundation of why yesterday mattered. Yesterday was legitimately historical. Like, they will write about this in history books when it comes to sort of the events that took place in our pursuit of exploring space. The very first object that orbited Earth was Sputnik, and that was a Russian satellite that was like this weird silver orb that had like 4 little legs.
Whoa.
I know. And that came at a time when it was after World War II, and the world was kind of it was being divided between the capitalist and the communist countries. Do you remember learning about this Cold War that took place after World War II?
Yes.
Yes. It was scary because at the same time that there was this war between ideologies, it was being backed up by advances in technology, where at the end of World War II, America had used the atom bomb to say, like, you are going to stop attacking us, Japan, and killed millions of people with these just 2 weapons. And so that was an arms race that took place during the Cold War of America drastically increasing our arsenal of nuclear weapons, Russia doing the same. And those are like the 2 major powers. However, there were other players in the Cold War as well. Lots of espionage, lots of secrecy, lots of kind of ramping up threats. There was this idea of mutually assured destruction that has kept that kept both sides from pressing that button, so to speak, where the threat was, if you launch a rocket at us, if you use a nuclear weapon against us, we will destroy you utterly. We will point all of our weapons at you. And that, I guess, kept the country safe. But there were lots of conflicts that arose out of that, where there was the Bay of Pigs. There was different crises that took place of, like, hey, you can't be over here, or you can't create this, or, like, chill over there. Russia, America. Something that was part of this was the space race at the same time. Some of it was a little bit like science fiction, science fantasy. For instance, Ronald Reagan, one of the presidents of the United States, had this idea for, like, a laser from space, a space laser.
Like Star Wars.
And he called it Star Wars, the program. The idea being that if a nuclear weapon was launched toward America, the space laser would activate and it would shoot it out of the sky. It didn't end up happening. Yeah. This is the same president that said, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. Significant. Significant. Before we were born, which this may date us, before we were born, there was a lot of movement toward reconciling differences between capitalist and communist countries. There had been lots of damage done to citizens of different countries in this effort that was beyond them, that was greater than them. So, for instance, like, take Berlin, for example. The Berlin Wall fell in 1989, and that was a big symbol of this divide. And the citizens of Eastern Berlin lived lives of squalor, whereas the citizens of Western Berlin, the same city, lived lives of abundance, where, different people would point to that to be like, hey, look at how capitalism is so much better. And, there might be merit to that, there might not be. But it was significant, to say the least, where these 2 different ideologies of how different societies should be structured, how we should handle our money, our economies, affected so many different things. The ability to explore space is symbolic, because it means that we as a country have our shit together and can support the exploration of this other place. And, there have been different phases of that in human history of, like, hey, Spain, wow, they were incredible explorers. At one point, Spain was controlling most everything. The Spanish Armada, wow. And they were exploring the sea. Christopher Columbus. Wow. He was Portuguese, but he ended up being funded by Spain, by Queen Ferdinand. King Ferdinand?
No.
Queen Elizabeth. No, Queen Isabella.
Cool.
History, folks. I'm really going off script, by the way. I don't have any of what I've been talking about in my notes. But this exploration is a big deal to humankind, because it means that we can potentially get resources from this other place.
Yeah.
That is a big deal. That means that this country, who is able to control these resources, will benefit from them.
Mm-hmm.
And every other country will just be mopey about it, and have to pander to us.
Yeah. That's the space race.
Yeah.
Who can get to it first?
Right. And so the space race, as it was starting in 1963-ish, was America saying, we are going to actively support NASA in their Apollo missions to make it to the moon.
America was saying that they would support NASA. Mm-hmm. Got it.
Yeah. Where I didn't do the calculation of how much money it would be in today's dollar, but a lot of money was put into this effort of, okay, 50 years ago, man first took flight. Like 1917 was the first flight.
That's crazy.
I know, right? And then 50 years after that, 1968, man stepped foot on the moon.
Wow, that's so recent. I forget how recent that is.
Right? Isn't that crazy? But if Russia made it there first to the moon, that would have made a different timeline. That would have been a different history. Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, these were the men who went on this Apollo mission to the moon and stepped foot on the moon. It was significant because it marked a point in humanity's history where we were able to build a technology to take us somewhere that we could not go.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And it meant a great deal about our ability to say, like, our society is better than their society. Mm-hmm. For better or for worse. Mm-hmm. I want to pause there.
Yeah, my thought right now. Mm-hmm. Why can't we all just have the joint agreement that we would like to better society and help others, like the consideration of the day, instead of this battle of who can get there first? That just seems silly to me. Obviously I'm not in that role of like dealing with this, so I have a limited perspective, but silly. Mm-hmm. Anyways.
It is silly, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I might need to gather myself a little bit.
Right.
I do have some good news, kind of about what you just brought up. Mm-hmm. There is a satellite that's orbiting Earth called the International Space Station.
I've heard of that.
You've heard of that. This has been a joint endeavor by different countries.
That's cool.
It's a symbol.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also a laboratory where different countries can send their scientists there.
Wow.
To conduct research about a variety of different things.
Yeah.
Basically every surface inside the International Space Station that's not being used for, like, a bathroom, a shower, living quarters it's like wall-to-wall laboratory study, research, experiments going on. Things operate differently in zero apparent gravity.
Yeah.
Like the way that fire looks, the way that plants grow, the way that this has not happened, but the way that a baby would gestate in the womb would be different, because our bodies are designed with the attraction down in mind.
That's so true.
Yeah. Something that happens to astronauts if they stay out in space for anything longer than 3 months is they their bodies start to get weird and distended. Like they'll grow 2 inches because
Wow.
they don't have gravity pressing down on their
Yeah.
spine. Their extremities become it kind of inflamed.
Wow.
They get filled up with liquid, and so like when an astronaut, like when they take pictures of them, they have like this weird, like bulbous kind of head shape.
Weird.
Because again, like gravity is pressing all of our liquids in our body down, and it like our heart has to pump the blood up into our head, and it's just it's much easier for your body, and so your bones can deteriorate in space without this force downward. So there's a lot of considerations about like we don't know enough about living in space to set up a colony in space at this point. That's kind of what that endeavor is like, where in order for us to even make plans to inhabit outer space, to inhabit the moon, to inhabit another planet, there's a lot that we don't know that we need to know. Like, can you grow crops in space? The answer is yes.
On Mars, can you?
Yeah, you could.
Wow.
You would need to terraform, but you could. I love talking about Mars,
Yeah.
but I think we might need to save that for
Sure.
another day. International Space Station. In 2011, there was a significant event that happened in America's kind of relationship with space, and that is that the Space Shuttle program was retired. From the years 1972 to 2011, NASA was shuttling astronauts into space up to the International Space Station, performing different research, different experiments, things that would help to understand better. I don't know. It runs the gamut. There was lots of different things going on. And a lot of that research has greatly benefited us as a society. We have so many satellites, 4G, 5G. Wow, I can talk with anybody on the planet with ease.
Yeah.
It has brought us together. GPS is a benefit of the space race.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's cool.
global positioning, because you need to have satellites that are constantly orbiting Earth.
Wow.
Yeah, it really does matter,
Yeah.
all of this research, because it has accompanied our great leaps in technology, where, I remember as a kid the VHS, the Laserdisc,
Totally.
and we have moved leaps and bounds, like, beyond that, where,
Yeah.
like, I remember even in, like, 4th grade, one of my teachers asking to turn in something on a floppy disk.
Yeah.
And
Whoa, that's crazy.
I know, right? I feel like floppy disks can only hold like kilobytes of information.
That's
And
crazy.
I think my phone alone can hold gigabytes, which is like orders of magnitude greater.
And that
in
happened
information.
within your lifetime.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Significant. And I think that it's difficult to say when that boom in technology will slow down, but that has greatly impacted like the narrative of our lives. Of like, wow, most people didn't have personal computers when we were born. Now everybody has a personal computer, maybe even multiple,
Yeah.
in the form of a smartphone, in the form of laptops, that sort of thing. I'm getting really sidetracked today talking about technology.
It's interesting stuff.
It is.
Do you need to refocus or look at
No, I think it's okay. In 2011, that's where I started there.
Yes.
In 2011, the Space Shuttle program was retired. This was during President Barack Obama's administration, and one of the considerations was it is not serving the same purpose as it once did. It is a waste of money, where we could be spending resources in a different way. And so a decision was made to stall and retire that program. However, that doesn't mean that astronauts from America weren't still being sent into space.
Elon Musk.
Before Elon Musk.
Oh.
Yes. So we would still send astronauts into space, but how do you get there? You need a rocket. You need a space shuttle. America would pay Russia to board their space shuttle.
Whoa.
Yes. I want you to hazard a guess of how much it cost America for one astronaut to be shuttled into space.
I'm going to go back to the Grindr app and just kind of base it off of that. Was 6 billion? Million?
Million.
Million, okay. 6 million. So let's...
It was 608.5 million, by the way.
For what?
Grindr.
Oh, 608 million. Okay. Wow. I would say for one person to go up,
Yeah.
150 million.
You overshot it.
Wow.
Yeah.
100 million.
It is $88 million to send one person 200 miles up.
Wait, the app was more expensive than that?
Well, yeah.
That's crazy.
I guess.
To me, that is.
Well, I mean, so I think about, like, I've taken flights.
Sure, that makes sense to put it that way.
For hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
A greater distance than... The International Space Station is really close to Earth.
Cool.
It's only 250 miles up.
Wow, that's crazy.
And that's like beyond LA from here to like just beyond.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, $88 million is still a lot of money for one.
I don't really know how to fathom 88 million.
Yeah.
Let alone $1 million.
Yeah, same. Same.
I've heard that if you count up from 1 each second, it will take you 11 days to count to 1 million.
Wow.
So that times 88.
That's crazy.
Math.
Yeah, no, not gonna do it, but that's crazy.
Oh my goodness. A lot of days. And that many dollars. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And yet, you know, America was consistently every year sending the astronauts into space to the International Space Station and also bringing them back. It's a significant amount of money.
Yeah.
There was a push more recently for America to cease their dependence on Russia to shuttle astronauts into space, to gain back our ability to do it ourselves on our soil. This was something that was honestly part of Donald Trump's platform.
Wow.
Where he made it one of his goals to send astronauts into space, not just to the International Space Station, but also to the moon. Have you heard of space? Whoa.
Well, there's a loud car outside.
I know, loud car.
They're still here.
They like their vehicle. There they go. Farewell on your journey, traveler.
Have I heard?
Of Space Force.
No.
Okay, so this is kind of a tongue-in-cheek sort of, a lot of people joke about it, but it is the idea of creating another branch of the military, essentially, in space.
Whoa.
To combat space battles and...
Wow. Real-life Star Wars.
Real-life Star Wars. So, there were contracts that were created and offered to private companies to, you know, in order to support that goal, that mission of gaining back our independence, our ability to send astronauts into space. Elon Musk, that's where he comes in. He owns SpaceX, which is a private company that creates rockets, for the most part. But they create the whole thing. And so what happened yesterday is a vessel created by NASA and SpaceX shuttled 2 American astronauts to the International Space Station. And they docked today.
Wow,
they made it.
That's awesome.
It is. I watched while I was at work.
That's really cool.
For the launch. It was was significant enough for me to kind of set aside the time. Because it means that we don't need to ask Russia anymore to send our astronauts into space. This rocket that took them into the atmosphere in less than 10 minutes.
Wow.
It was quick. Only cost NASA, I think, $55 million.
Wow.
And so, like, moving forward, it's still expensive, but it's money that's staying in America.
Totally.
Yeah. They made it. And it was a self-driven craft.
Whoa.
Yeah. Like, they loaded up, they fueled up, they launched. 10 minutes later, they were in space. And then over the course of the next 16 hours, they were speeding up, gaining altitude in order to dock with the International Space Station. Because the International Space Station is in orbit. It's moving very quickly.
Yeah. That would be so hard. I think about movies like Interstellar. Or
I know.
Like, it's spinning and they have to go and latch on. Wow.
But it's like, it's all simulated now, where this launch that happened yesterday, like, it wasn't the first. They had done it 20 times already to, like, prepare for actually sending people.
Was that why they... Okay, then that's interesting. I thought they had sent people before, but they were just testing those rockets before. And this was the one that, like, finally sent people up. Okay, got it.
There were some novel new concepts of, like, you know, what they used to do versus what this rocket now does.
Got it.
Where, like, they used to fuel up before the astronauts would board in case it blew up.
Ugh.
But now, the way that they do it is they have the astronauts board, they fuel up, and it's cooled by, like, liquid nitrogen, liquid oxygen, like, this sort of stuff, because that, like, liquid state, that very cooled state, makes it better for the liftoff. I don't exactly know the physics of it.
Yeah.
In truth,
cool.
I never took physics.
Neither.
I was more of a chemistry guy. So, that was scary. And a lot of professionals, great minds, pushed against different new novel techniques of pushing the boundaries, so to speak, for safety's reason. You know, we want to keep our astronauts safe. Yes. I wonder how I can kind of sum up this portion of the story. I think I've done a pretty good job of, like, building a foundation, saying, like, how we've gotten here.
Yeah.
They did it.
Yeah.
It was an automated flight that took 2 astronauts to the International Space Station from Cape Canaveral, Florida. And this means that moving forward, we will be able to do this indefinitely.
Yeah.
But this is not the end of the road. What's forward? What's next? There is a program called the Artemis program, which is related to the Apollo program. You know, I kind of mentioned the Apollo program, which is we're going to go to the moon. The Artemis program is a sister sort of program to that, which is it is America's intention under the current administration to send astronauts to the moon again.
Wow.
Where we will go, explore. One of the things that they want to, that their intention of exploring is the ice that's on the moon.
Wow.
Perhaps mine it, perhaps look for organisms,
Yeah.
perhaps create a lunar base. These are the goals of the Artemis program. It will pave the way for civilian commercial spaceflight to the moon.
That's amazing.
And then it will pave the way to manned missions to Mars, as opposed to just Curiosity and, you know, the robots that are on Mars.
Yeah.
That's what's in the future, where if we continue with the same president for the next 4 years, we can expect that there will be motion toward America sending astronauts to the moon. Perhaps creating a lunar base.
That's really cool.
It is really cool. America spent a significant amount of resources to get Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin to the moon. And they are heroes. It would mean that again, where we would have to spend billions and trillions of dollars to shuttle astronauts to the moon, to create that program. And there's already movement toward it.
It's really cool. I feel like that's
really cool.
Like a long-term investment, you know?
Sure.
Granted that we can learn things that might help us later if we destroy the planet that we're on now.
Well,
and need to retreat.
God forbid. No, you bring up a good point that that perhaps Earth is not maybe this is just our starting place. That the human race could move beyond into the stars.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's a potential. I think that there might be arguments on either side kind of mentioning, hey, maybe the resources that you're spending on getting to the moon could be used elsewhere.
Yeah, that was my initial thought when you started talking about it. I was like, that's a lot of money that could benefit us here in a lot of ways. But as I said, I think that is a very cool long-term investment. In case we run into that issue where we need to, it's urgent that we leave, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever that would be like, but interesting.
Yeah. Before we move into a time of kind of, I want you to process. I want to, get your hot takes. Before I do that, I think I do want to sum up by saying, because of the success yesterday, we can pretty much certainly expect that America will be leading the way in space moving forward.
That's cool.
Because of private companies putting their resources into it.
That's really special that people deemed it as necessary enough to invest in and to, I don't know. That's cool that Elon Musk is wanting to better the planet and human race with his money.
Definitely. All right, let's move into this time. Let's make our way to the hot take.
Okay, I just thought about this. I speak my mind a lot. Not really I just kind of flow out whatever's on my brain. So that's what's going to happen right now. Kardashians, put your money towards some of this too. Elon Musk has a lot of money, but I don't know what his assets are like on this earth, but maybe sell a few cars, donate a little bit.
Yeah, Khloe Kardashian has a new face. She could have spent it on space.
Wow. I just think that's really cool that Elon Musk is using his money towards that. It's really cool.
It is really cool.
I imagine he still has a lot for himself.
Yeah, the thing that I was reeling at when I pulled up his Wikipedia page is that his net worth is $37.2 billion.
That's insane. I can't even fathom that.
How? Wow.
Wow. Thank you, Elon Musk. That's really cool. Thanks, Elon.
Hey, Elon. You're cool.
Secondly, that's really, I didn't know that, I think maybe there's a lot of things happening right now that is easy to miss, maybe.
Sure.
Because I did not know that happened yesterday. I knew that there was a rocket shooting off, but I did not know to what extent. That's really cool. Thank you, astronauts, for your service.
Totally. You kind of have to put it all on the line.
Yeah, I can't imagine that. Being in an aircraft that will go into space. Trusting that,
Space is not good for people.
No.
You can't exist out in space.
Yeah.
You would balloon.
Yeah.
And die.
Ugh, that's crazy.
Within a matter of seconds.
That's insane. And that's really cool. That's all I gotta say.
The hot take, if I heard you correctly,
was
that the Kardashians should pay for space.
They should.
which I love.
Yeah.
What a call
I
out.
stand by it.
What a call out. What if they respond personally to us?
You know, I don't really know what I would say. They'd have to donate money. Show me the receipts.
Exactly. Sell a car.
Sell a car.
Go to space.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. I do, however, still think the, like, America will be there first mentality is, like, kind of strange, just because I'm very much all for one and one for all. Like,
we can sort out our differences.
Yeah, I think that's a little silly still. However, like...
Will we go to the moon together, or will we go to the moon as Americans?
Yes, I think about this often, Alex. Like, you know those movies where there's like, oh, what was it, The 100 or something, that TV show where they like need to escape and go to space, but there's only a limited amount of people that would go?
Yikes.
Like, how would they decide that? How, by money? Like, whatever, A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
You just rattled off part of the alphabet?
Can I go to space?
Okay, there it is. There it is. You want to know what the qualities are.
Yeah. What would they, like, how would they decide who gets to go to space and who stays here?
I mean, without diving into too big of a new topic, what they looked for in the 60s was, like, physically fit people.
That's true.
And so, like, the astronauts that they were looking for were, like, the quarterbacks and, like, the people who were athletes. They're like, okay, these are the people who are going to... But that's not what they look for. That's not what they look for now.
Yeah.
They look for people of sound mind first.
That's awesome.
Where the isolation and anxiety of knowing that you are on a one-way trip and that inches away from you is the vacuum of space, like the literal void that would kill you instantly. You need to be okay with that. Like, you need to have the faculties to survive that. And so there has been, like, psychological research into how do you craft a team that could weather a trip to Mars, which would take about 6 months.
Wow. Crazy stuff. Thank you for teaching me all of that.
You're so welcome. I love educating.
And I love that about you.
Oh. Well, I think we've made it to the end of this podcast. I suppose I can sum up for us.
Yeah.
Okay. With this, our time is finished. We discovered that Kim Kardashian should start paying her fair share.
The Kardashians.
Oh, sorry. The Kardashians should start paying for space. Because, come on, it's the future.
Yes.
As always, we encourage you to love yourself well this week. To take time to consider what your relationship is to your fellow man, to your neighbors. You deserve all the love and joy and respect that you desire, just because you are you. I hope that you join us next week, where we will be sipping on that weird teal milk from Star Wars.
Yo.
And listening to a 10-hour loop of the epic Sax Man riff.
Love it.
Wow.
Wow. That will be a long hour. Can you actually record yourself and then doing that, and we will listen to that the whole time?
I'll pray about it. We will see you next week, where we will be giving our freshest, hottest takes about something completely new.
Cool.
Goodbye for now.
Bye-bye.